Hi everybody, and thank you so much for coming tonight. It's really great to see so many people and to overhear so many really interesting conversations in the bar already. So I'm Anne Todd and I'm a partner in the commercial team at Michelmores. I'm a commercial lawyer specialising in tech, data and all things related. And we're really delighted to welcome so many people to this event that we're hosting on behalf of WiTT this evening. I'm sure it's going to be a really, really interesting discussion. Just a brief word about Michelmores for those of you who don't know us. We're a full-service law firm based in London, Exeter, Bristol and Cheltenham. We service clients of all nature, businesses large and small, entrepreneurs, investors, institutions and private clients. And a really important part of our work is supporting innovative and early stage businesses, particularly those founded by women. So we're really particularly delighted to be able to do this tonight. We do this in two ways. Firstly, through our My Ventures programme, which is a bespoke legal programme designed for innovative and scalable businesses. It's not a standard package of one size fits all, but we provide services bespoke to each of our clients. We also operate Mainstream, which is an angel investment network. And through that, we hope to accelerate growth and diversity in angel investing. We're signatories to the Investing in Women Code, and we actively participate and sponsor events such as this tonight, and Inclusive Investors, which my colleague Chloe helped organise in Bristol recently. Earlier this year, we won the UK Business Angel Association's Best Legal Team for Early Stage Deals for the second year in a row, and we were runner-up in the Enterprise Investment Scheme Association's Award for Best Legal Advisor. If you want to hear any more, please come and talk to us. I've got a brochure as well. Please do take it. Anyway, I'm going to hand over now to Audrey and panel.
Thank you very much, Anne. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, I'm Audrey Mandela. I'm the chair of WiTT and also co-founder of multimap.com, which we sold to Microsoft many years ago now. So I'm also a founder and an angel investor, and there are several angel investors in the room. And I don't see Sarah Turner of Angel Academy, but
She is
there. You
there.
are. Yeah, I'm over there. Okay. So so founders, talk to Sarah. So this is the 13th year that we've conducted this panel of women tech entrepreneurs. We tend to do it at this time of year so that it is around Global Entrepreneurship Week, which is next week. And we think it's an excellent time to celebrate women tech entrepreneurs and to hear from those who have many stories to tell of their journeys as entrepreneurs. In addition to, before I go to the panel though, in addition to me, we have the rest of the WiTT board here. So Yasmin Majid, Annette Nabavi, Michelle Senecal, Helen Kaliski. So if you want to know anything about WiTT or talk to any of us, please see one of us during the drinks. So moving on, the three fantastic founders that we have with us tonight have three very different businesses, and you're going to hear a lot of stories from them. So starting at the very end, we have Maxine Moon, who is founder and director of Imegamedia. We have Melinda Nicci, who is founder and CEO of Body Collective Group. And we have Vinita Rathi, who is CEO of Systango. So I'm going to jump right in with my questions and ask all of them, first of all, to describe themselves and their businesses and tell us what it was that drove them to become entrepreneurs. Vinita, would you like to start?
Yeah, I can go first. So I'm CEO of Systango. Systango, at the heart of it's a digital transformation company. We're a product engineering company. We do IT services for various businesses of different sizes. So be it like startups, early stage companies, growth stage companies, and enterprises. I think the space that I really enjoy most is the growth stage company. I think that's where our skills are most valued, and we're actually able to make difference to the company, right? In terms of why I started this, so I did my engineering in 2004 from India, and I moved here in 2006. I joined Goldman, I think probably within a month I arrived here. And then I worked there for about 5 years. 2011 is when I had my first baby. And at that time, and I actually also coincidentally gotten promoted to VP. At that time, I really started thinking, like, what is it that I want to do in my career? If I stay here for another 5 years, will I actually be able to go out and, like, do something else? And when I was graduating, I really admired Google. Like, I loved the fun, the charisma that it had back then. I always wanted to either work at Google or create something like Google, right? And so I just thought that, maybe this is the time where I should probably go out and do something of my own. So I decided to take that plunge. At that time, I tried a product idea. That really involved me going like door to door, signing up businesses for so it was a deal platform. And at that time, I realized that this is not my thing. I can't really go to businesses and convince merchants to sign up and produce deals on the platform. But technology is my thing. I love technology. I like reading. I always try to stay ahead of the technology curve. And that's when one of my ex-colleagues reached out to me from Poland and he said, "Hey, I'm trying to set up a team in India. Can you help me with that?" I was like, "Yes, why not?" And that just started Systango. So today we are about 350 people, about 350 people team, spread it across UK, USA, and India. And just 6 months ago, we got ourselves listed. So that's what.
And we'll talk a little bit about that later on. So, Melinda.
Hi everyone, my company is Body Collective and we essentially make wellness personalized for all women at all life stages. So we use AI and data and we personalize their wellness programs based on their stage of life, their cycle. So we started life as an app for pregnancy and then realized that actually there was a lot more that we could do. And we are now serve people who are going through fertility, pregnancy, postpartum through an app called Baby to Body. And then we launched another app recently for the perimenopause and menopause called MBody. And we've got partnerships with, big companies like ClassPass and Thriver and Nestle. And we're in 130 countries and we have 5 million women on our platform. So yeah, we're making a difference, which is really great. It helps me every single day. My background is I'm actually a sports psychologist and a fitness trainer. I've written a few books on wellness for women's health. And I've been really passionate about how we can live better using technology, data, now AI, which is amazing and moving really, really fast. So as you can hear, I'm probably notice I have an accent. So I came here from South Africa in 1994 and originally sort of, was looking around for some information about pregnancy, wellness, couldn't find it. And so I started, researching it, wrote a book for Jordan Kindersley, which is one of their bestsellers, had a fitness company, and then Body Collective evolved out of that as a digital offering. So that's me.
Great, thanks. Maxine.
So I'm the MD and founder of a company called Imegamedia, and we solve complex problems for lenders and merchants in the space of retail finance. So finance often is thought of similar to payments, but it's actually much, much more complex. So we have to not just handle the checkout stage, we have to handle everything to do with finance calculations, compliance, regulation, as well as rate cards and lots of other complexity. So in terms of the problems that we solve for lenders, they want to focus on signing up merchants and they get paid as soon as the first transaction happens. So we help lenders transact as soon as possible. So we're very, very important in their arsenal of signing up and transacting. In terms of merchants, we do a very cost-effective solution and we get them to market much quicker. So instead of attending weeks and months and spending £5,000 or £20,000, they can do it very quickly. And we can integrate them and get them live potentially within a couple of hours. So it's a very different proposition. In terms of the kind of the growth that we've got recently, we're now transacting about 550 million in finance every year. So we're processing that through our systems. We connect about 17 lenders, that's growing all the time, to 24 platforms. I won't do the maths, but all the permutations in between. So we handle lots of different, we can help any lender and any merchant basically. In terms of my background, I've always been technical. So I spent many years with a career at JP Morgan and doing consultancy. And ultimately, I've always wanted to do my own thing. So I think that it sounds fairly similar, but rather than actively choosing starting my own business, sometimes I think it chooses you. And certain events happen and trigger. And for mine, I actually got divorced and had to look after a single child. So that was the trigger point for me, forcing me to start my own business. It's been survival ever since. Ultimately, we got acquired by the Deco Group in 2021. So yeah, it's been a good journey.
Great. We'll talk about that acquisition a little bit later. Right now, I'd like to talk about some of the challenges that you all faced in building your businesses and things that you encountered along the way. Melinda, would you like to start?
Yeah, so I think being a non-technical founder, essentially, like right in the very beginning, was a bit of a challenge. I've never hired anyone who was technical, so I just sought out, people that could help me and, allies who could actually advise me on who to hire and what I needed. So I think that was one of the challenges, and I think, not to bang this drum, that's always been banging, but it's resources, so funding, especially when I first started the company, which was in 2016. I literally had people say, oh, it's niche. Like, women's health is niche. So, it just kind of wasn't a thing then. Now everyone's talking about femtech, but I was really like one of the first people to go into women's health and think that this is a massive opportunity that I can actually make an impact in. So that was certainly a challenge. And I think just generally hiring and scaling is a challenge. And I focus on the US pretty early on because the numbers just, make sense. I mean, there's 5 million babies born a year in the US. And here, take a guess.
2 million.
750,000. It's dropped. We used to be like 850. It's dropped. So, if I'm spending any money, I won't go to the US. So that was, so I learned that pretty early on. But I think those are the biggest challenges, and they're probably, less so now, the technology. I think technology now, I've learned a lot. I've immersed myself in it, and I also know how to hire. And I think that's one of the key things, really.
Yeah.
It's getting that right.
Maxine?
Fairly similar. I think the growth for us, we were always very lucky because we solved problems. The growth came to us. We've never spent a pound on advertising, and because we solve problems, I have what we call like the perfect feeding circle. So Imega needs lenders need merchants need Imega, and it's sort of like a bit of a circle. So by the time we sort of created a platform and accommodated multiple lenders, multiple platforms, the growth came fairly organically. So we haven't had the luxury of going for funding or anything like that, which has made, I think, things a lot simpler. So I think in terms of the growth, it's been about people, it's been about process, so that we can keep it light touch and we can scale. And we've managed to do that fairly well. Within a few years, we ramped up to about 500 merchants. So you can imagine how busy we were. And that was with a team at that point of about 4 people. So we had a lot of process, a lot of automation, and a lot of software that was enforcing that process. And I think, they're the kind of main challenges that we've had. But I do acknowledge it was a nice problem to have.
Vinita?
Yeah, true that. I think running an IT services company gives you this luxury of running a business without raising funds, right? Because if you're not profitable from early on, then you're probably making some mistakes, somewhere, right? I think that my challenge at different levels, right, from starting the company was convincing everybody around me that I want to do this, everybody, and especially the background I come from. So I come from a small town in India where women going out, running a business is like a thing, like going out doing engineering and working at Goldman was a thing. Then leaving it and then starting from scratch was like another thing. So convincing them, and then managing, like, now I have 2 boys. So managing them, traveling, like, through different places. Right now I live in India and I travel to UK. Until 2020, I used to live here and travel to India. So that traveling was like, a big thing. But I think if I talk about like what was the biggest challenge that I have had probably is people perception, in my opinion, like, so again, like 2016, 2015, somebody thinking me of as a CEO running an IT services company was like, something that they wouldn't just accept me for. So proving your expertise, that you really know what you're talking about, was like, one of the biggest challenge.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to change up my questions a little bit and focus in on this issue of being women, since this is one of the things that we all encounter, isn't it? Generally, I talk about this when it comes to funding because I don't know if anybody saw the recent report that Female Founders Forum put out about share of investment that women founders get, which is a little better this year than it was last year. It's like 10% of the total. But when it comes to, that's number of deals, when it comes to amount of money, it actually dropped this year from last year down to 3.5% of all funds raised, which is kind of insane. And last year we talked about Atomico's State of European Tech Report, which the new one will come out soon, so we can't talk about the new one yet. But last year, almost half of the female founders that they talked to said that they had difficulty raising because they were women. They were certain that it was because they were women. Not all of you have raised, hooray. But you have done other things where perhaps you will have been questioned about what you're doing. So, but first let's focus on raising. So Melinda, you're raising now.
Yeah, we're raising now. So essentially we're bootstrapped. I mean, we've only raised £2 million in the last like 7 years. So we got to profitability quite quickly as soon as we launched our product. But I think there's still, it being in a consumer. So we do B2C and we do B2B2C, and when we do B2B as well. So, considering all of those different revenue streams, so we do need, the marketing, and we do need that sort of brand building, which is, it takes money. So yeah, that's, it's always a challenge. I mean, I don't like to focus on it, but it is. Let's face it, it is a challenge. Actually, that number is higher than I heard. I've heard it was just 1% of all funding, but
yeah,
whether it's 1 or 3, like we don't represent 1 or 3% of the businesses started, so that's the problem.
And I think it's 1% across Europe and 3% in the UK. So yeah, the UK is better. And you probably have a double whammy of being a woman founder with a women's focused business.
Exactly.
Which I know a lot of male investors have some difficulty with.
Yeah, I mean, I can write a book about the stupid things that some investors have said. Obviously won't name.
Tell us some of them.
My guy was pitching to, and I was like, yeah, we're going from baby to body, and we're like, now platform, and we're going to, tackle the perimenopause, and he's like, oh, that's not such a big problem. And I mean, he was like in his early 30s, sitting in this investment firm. And I was like, do you have a mother? I just like, and I thought, am I going to teach this guy about like how many women there are in the world and how many women are like, going through the perimenopause, which right now today is like 1 billion. And I just thought, no, this is literally a waste of time. So yeah, there's a lot of stupid stuff that people have said. But I think the problem is that if you're pitching to someone who really doesn't get it and you have to teach them to get it, it's never going to work. So they either get it or they don't get it. So like very early on, you can like assess whether someone like is excited about it. And let's face it, the only people who are going to give you money are the people who are going to go and fight for you at the investment committee and will like want to back you and believe in it. And they have to have the conviction. If they don't have the conviction, you're wasting your time. So I'm a little bit ruthless, as in like, I don't want to waste my time, because if I can see someone's not fighting and if they're not super excited about the opportunity that we can build here, then I'm just like, you know what, it's probably just not going to work out. So, yeah, I mean, I'd rather not waste their time. But a lot of like kind of people in investment firms will want to have the call with you, will want to find out more about, because they also have to have the deal flow. So like they are driven by different metrics. And you know, I can't waste my time. Like I've got business to run, so stuff to do. Everyone else, yeah. So yeah, I think you know.
Yeah, so you've had the experience. And Vinita, so you were lucky that you didn't have to go out and raise, but you did list. So what was that experience like? Any issues as a female founder?
I mean, honestly, it was a life-changing experience, in my opinion. Like, you know, I never thought of business like the way these investors think of it. Like, so just having that, like, you know, perception of theirs, of how they see numbers, of how they see business was like a life-changing event for me, right? But as I was sharing with you earlier, we just had our like half-yearly numbers go out yesterday, right? Everybody I spoke with were like very happy about the numbers and whatnot. And this morning, one of my anchor investors like called me at 6 a.m. in the morning. It was like, you never told me these are going to be your results. It's like, what do you mean? No, you did not tell me that this is how this is going to pan out, what your number is going to be for the previous 6 months, and blah, 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 right? And he really bashed me like on that call, right? And then like I called my merchant banker and I said, I don't do it. I thought these numbers are right numbers, right? And he very patiently first heard me, but then he gave me 2 advices. He said that, look, Vinita, I understand your personality, but sometimes you have to overcome that. And I said, why do you say that? And so he's like, I know you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. You want to like, you know, underpromise and overdeliver. That's like your characteristic. And second, you're very conservative, like, you know, so if you're going to make, let's say, for example, 2 million PAT, you're probably going to say 1.5 because you don't want to be like, you know, quoted for it, right? And I thought, well, I think I heard about this, like, you know, I think probably that's how all women usually, like, you know, deal with numbers, right? We are by nature very conservative. We are by nature, like, you know, we try to make sure that, like, we don't really overpromise, right? And then he said that your investors, they have invested on you and on your company, and they really want you to come out and tell them with confidence, this is how it's going to be, this is what like you are doing, and that's how like, you know, they will really trust on you. That's what they saw in you when you were actually going out and trying to do this listing exercise. And I think that's probably it, right? So I was lucky. We got an anchor investors very early on. Listing wasn't really a struggle for us. I think we were just fortunate at that point of time. One of the anchor investors, I only spoke with like 4 anchor investors and they all 4 signed up. Amongst them, one of the ones was like, I never saw a lady talking about technical, like, you know, things so much. I was like, what, really? Have you not seen any other, like, you know, women in this room coming and like talking technical? He was like, yes. Like, I don't know, right? Because there are many of us. So I think my experience has been good. I don't think I really like, you know, saw any favoritism or anything. But then these comments that I get like time to time really reminds me that maybe you want to hang out of this shell of yours and like, you know, just get out there.
Well, that's why we have these events. And Maxine, you've sold your business. So what was that experience like? And did you have any issues that you think were related to the fact that you're a woman?
So I think it was a really daunting experience. I think that's the first thing to say. I probably had the best kind of acquisition in that they approached us. We weren't looking to sell. And it was early 2021, and we'd just gone through the period of COVID, which you know was obviously a very bad time for everybody, but for business-wise, it was very good for us. If you can imagine all of the SMEs that had finance in store, maybe on their website. All of a sudden, all their bricks and mortar was closed, so they needed it on their website. So we had you know, a huge amount of merchants come to us, and a huge amount of lenders that came to us. Those that weren't on our panel needed to be on our panel. So we'd just gone through that period of growth. I had the phone call January, I think it was 2021, and I was knocked sideways. So I never considered selling. I was just having fun, growing something, you know, just getting on with the job. So yeah, I think daunting is the right word. If nobody prepares you for the teams of people, I mean, Michelmores was actually representing the people that acquired us, so we were opposite. They were extremely professional and wonderful. But there's a team of people and me, and you know, I did have good representation on my side. It's really important that you have good representation, and if you can, some kind of mentor that's been through it, so you can just sort of take the edge off how daunting it is. But I can remember getting my first draft copy of the SPA, and it's this massive document, and reading it, you just know you're out of your depth. And I think, you know, I spoke to some good mentors, and they just said, one page at a time, and you'll get it. And that's what you do, and you go through, and there's, you know, lots of warranties and lots of very scary things that come out. But yeah, I've gone through sort of the 2-year sort of payment stroke, you know, structure of the deal, and yeah, everything is actually okay. The deal's gone through fine. But I still remember the day when I first saw that SPA. Yeah, very, very daunting. But like I say, you've got to get the right support. You've got to get people to put it into perspective. I think in terms of being women, I can honestly say I don't think it's ever gone against me. I think if anything, it's probably gone in my favour, because, like you say, when you start talking technically, you've either had you know, there's people in the room that talk to you and assume you know nothing, and quite quickly you put them right. Or you stand out. So I don't actually think it's ever gone against me. I think I've done some really good deals where people have probably signed the deal because they remember me more, and potentially, you know, lots of other potential competitors that are males. So.
Great, good. Nice to hear. So let's talk about some decisions that you've all made along the way. Best and worst decisions. Maxine, would you like to start with that?
Yeah, so that's a really difficult one. So I think the best decision definitely is early on in our design of our platform, we recognised that we needed to be agnostic. We needed to be Switzerland of the finance world, and we needed to say, you know, be any lender, any platform, and we have no favourite children. We would, you know, we stay out of it. We just connect people, and that's paid really, really well. Because I think for people to put their trust in you, for lenders to put their trust in you, you need to show that you're, you know, you've got that level of independence and professionalism, and also enable that growth, because we didn't sign any exclusivity agreements. We didn't have any preferences, so we just covered a wide breadth of ground by doing all of the partnerships and sort of remaining impartial. And I thought really hard about these, the really good decisions. And I think the other thing that I did, which I think really stands out for me, is we actually recruited a number of apprentices. I think early on that enabled us to sculpt some minds, but also to get more staff than we actually paying for. Apprentices were great value, super smart, and they really helped us grow at the beginning. So that's probably one of the best decisions.
Yeah. We also had some apprentices who stayed on, and that was surprisingly good in some cases.
Yeah, most of stay with us, so yeah, they're definitely good.
Excellent. Yeah. Vinita, what about you?
I mean, if you would have asked this question this morning, I would have said testing. So I guess, I mean, other than listing the company, I think investing into people probably was one of the best decisions that as a company we have taken. We invest in people, make sure that we are always learning like new technologies, right? So like, you know, back in 2016, 2017, blockchain, crypto was a thing. Now it's generative AI. So we start like working on these technologies very early on, and that allows us to like stay ahead of the curve. And a lot of times we get asked questions on it. Why are you doing this? Do you really feel that this is a mature technology and whatnot? But I think that has actually become our value system, right? You know, and that coupled with focus on growth stage companies, where you require a lot of agility, a lot of nimbleness, a lot of ownership, like, you know, delivery. So I guess just making those decisions of investing right places has really helped grow the company where it is. In terms of worst decision, I think there was a time in Systango's history back in 2016, 2017, when we were here and we were running a team back out of Indore, where I come from, India. We had a lot of dependency on one single individual, right? And we did not really think strategically of how we want to grow, from where we were to where we wanted to be. And at that time, this guy left us. He poached employees overnight, and there wasn't really much that we could do from here. So it was a nightmare experience because we were getting calls from customers and they were like, where are these developers? Why they are not coming on the call? And I just wouldn't have any answer for them, right? So at that time, we really thought about how should we structure ourselves? How should we delegate responsibilities? What departments should we create? How should we hire those people? And plus, how should we go out and even talk to these customers and tell them what just happened, right? I think just that over dependency on one key individual and waiting for that moment for that to happen was probably the worst decision. But then I think, ever since then, because of that decision, we are where we are today.
Yeah, well, sometimes that's what it takes to learn with teams. I mean, we've certainly learned to fire quickly. Unfortunately, if things are not working out, then people need to go.
True. I agree.
Nicely, but still.
It's good for them as well as for you.
Yeah, exactly. And Melinda?
So I think, in a startup, every single day you make so many decisions, and some of them are awful and some of them are great. But I think looking back, I think one of the best decisions I made was to be really strict and sort of really focus on building trust, because we were building a consumer brand. And I turned away a deal with a big FMCG because they wanted to kind of take our content and do some stuff. And it was early on, and we couldn't stand up on our own to brands. Now we can do those partnerships, but at the time, what we had to do was really double down on our value and our brand values, and build that trust with our consumers. And now we have it. And now these FMCGs are coming to us to say, can we partner with you because your brand is so valuable? So I think it was really hard. I remember once there was a deal for £100,000, and this was early on in the company. And I was like, I know we shouldn't take it, but I'm like, oh my God, should I do it? And I said, no, don't do it, because think of the long term. So that was a really good decision. And then I think the other one is definitely hiring. So I hired the first employee. She was an intern. She didn't say a word for about 6 weeks, and then she started talking. I was like, oh my God, you're brilliant. You're not going anywhere. And she's my COO. And she stuck with me, and she's incredible. So that was great. And I think, you can see things in people. I think I always say to my team, my little voice inside me, my gut is going to tell me what to do, and it's never wrong. And it's about tuning in, and I guarantee everyone here has that. And if you tune in and you listen to it, you won't be wrong. So I think it's really having the confidence to listen to that voice and to trust yourself. Those are the good ones. Bad ones.
Oh my gosh.
I think probably the worst one was a couple of hiring mistakes, but they lasted a couple of days. So that was listening to someone who really didn't know anything about the business and said, no, grow, don't go for monetization. And I was like, I knew we should have gone a little bit earlier for monetization. I think, the days of a lot of money to grow fast and not worry about monetization, they're over anyway, but I think that we could have gone to monetization earlier. And I think had I gone on my original plan, it was one of my investors said, no, this is what you need to do. Don't do it, have to do this. And I was like, maybe I don't know. And I just second guessed myself, and that was probably a bad decision.
Yeah. Now, I want to make sure that the audience gets plenty of time for their questions, so I'm going to stop mine for now and ask if anybody would like to ask anything. We have microphones, and who's going to take the microphones around? Rachel, you. Yes. So Sarah Turner, Financial Academy.
Maxine, I wanted to ask you a question about, you said you're solving a problem, so customers came to you, but how did you make those first sales when nobody knew who you were? Or did they when you know you because you worked at those companies? So how did that work?
No, I think, we got involved in the space with, the first lender and the first platform, and we were doing very bespoke jobs one after the other. So they were high price, hard to find the next job, etc. And we were doing ones and twos. So Magento would come along with one lender, and then there'd be another Magento, but with a different lender, we'd have to build it again. And then there was, potentially another platform, but there wasn't enough demand for it, so we didn't want to invest in it. I think we just had a bit of a unique moment where we decided we build this platform and we pull out all of the core finance logic into our platform, and we've got a very light touch into the lenders and the platforms. What they gave us is an ability to, we've added now 24 platforms, but we can add a 25th platform. And just by that light touch and embedding it into the system, connecting it to the system, it automatically gets all of the full features, and it gets all of the lenders that are on our panel. So that just enabled us to scale and to grow. So instead of looking at one permutation of lender and platform, we've got over 400 permutations now. And it just means, not only can we just offer that full breadth of service and grab more work, it just meant we had the economies of scale to make it work as well, whereas the one-offs, it just wasn't a viable business. So yes, we had that eureka moment, building a platform that was highly sort of extendable quickly, and it gave us the coverage. So yeah, it's a bit of a eureka moment.
So can I build on Sarah's question though? How did you get in the door with those first few people? Did you already have those contacts?
I did, yeah. So the very first lender was a friend of a friend, and I had just gone through a divorce, and talking to somebody, just very casually, said, "What do you do?" Software, and they said, "I can give you lots of work if you can connect my finance company," and that was the first one. What he didn't tell me is it was so expensive to do it each time. That's why he hadn't done it. So but yeah, that's how we got into investors.
Next question. Well, since we have the mic over there, we'll stay over there for the moment.
Thanks for this talk. It was really interesting. How's the market changed for now? So if you're actually starting your businesses now, what would you do differently when you actually did?
Vinita, would you like to start?
Yeah, I can go first. Thinking about, so our business had grown very organically, right? Like our first customer came in, ex-government colleague. Ever since then, we have gotten customers by references. Customers we started working with in 2012 are still our customers. However, after getting ourselves listed, there's a lot of pressure on how do you grow to 10 mil to 25 mil and my plan for 50 mil, right? I don't think that can happen organically the way we have grown so far. And I never thought about sales and marketing earlier on. I guess if I was to do the same thing again, I would set up that infrastructure first rather than just building technical team, which I'm very good at. And that's why I was always keen on building stuff, learning technologies and whatnot. So I think that's probably what I would do. I have strategically approached how you're going to acquire the market, what's going to be your differentiation out there, and how will you get your word out there.
Melinda, what about you?
I think, there's tons of things I would do differently, and I think the world is different now because tech is just, ubiquitous. It's just so much easier, especially now with generative AI. So I think technically it would be a very different way of starting business right now. But I think if the playing field's the same, I think I would go for partnerships quicker, sooner, because it's really been, quite transformative for the business. So yeah, I think I would do that, and I think I would stay away from venture funding for a while, and bootstrap. more. That's, you know, and then, yeah, delay the funding, if at all. But yeah, delay it.
Maxine?
If I can choose, right, I'd probably say that given the contacts and the knowledge that I've got now, I would do it very differently. I probably would go for a small amount of funding, but that's probably. But I could definitely fast track and build what we built over many, many years a lot quicker. So yeah, that would be my route to try and scale it quickly.
Thanks for that question. Helen, over here.
Thank you. Hi. Question to all three. I'm Helen and I do work at Google. What was it, if you look back on your life, pre your startup, what event or person or thing that happened to you or your experience really got you? Do you attribute the fact that, you know, you ended up running a successful startup? So, I don't know, Maxine, it could be the fact you worked at JP Morgan, it could be the fact you got divorced, it could be, but it'd be really interesting to, you know, to look, if you could look back at your life and say, what was it?
Yeah, I think for me, it definitely was my divorce, which is, you know, it's not the most brilliant answer, but it's the truth. I think I had a very successful corporate career. I think to walk away from that is quite a big thing. And the reason I did it, went through a divorce and, you know, needed to regroup, and I wanted to go back to my technical roots and start something and build something. And I probably wouldn't have done it had I not got divorced. And that's the honest truth, which would be a fine shame, but, you know, at least something very positive.
Big risk, isn't it? That's a big risk.
It was a huge risk, but I was a single mum, I had a young son, so I would do anything to avoid the corporate world and be able to raise him. So it was a case of doing it because I had to, and then started doing it because I enjoyed it, and then I did it because it was growing and getting traction. So, yeah.
Melinda, I'm guessing in your case it was trying to find information about pregnancy.
Yeah, that's why I started this. This is my third business though.
Mm.
So I started business when I was like 22 and I sold it when I was 25. So I had an exit before I even knew what an exit was. So it was in South Africa and I had just come back from traveling around the world after my first degree. And my father was an entrepreneur, my late mom was an entrepreneur, and I came back with this grand idea that I wanted to do something. I wanted to make these, and this is like the late 80s, like I'm aging myself here, but anyway. And I had this idea of making like these, you know, kind of like organic at the time, no one even knew what that was, products for body care, you know, based on plants, not tested on animals, and I was all very idealistic. So I went to my dad and I said, right, I've got this idea, this is a business plan, and you know, can you give me some money? He said, no. He said, but I will give you an offer. So he literally gave me the storeroom with a phone. So I was sitting on a box with a phone and I started my first business. And then 2.5 years later, I got literally a letter from a pharmaceutical company in South Africa and saying they wanted to buy the brand. And I was like, okay. Didn't have no idea what I was doing, but you know, it enabled me to buy a property, a new car, and a bunch of stuff. And then the next business I had was a fitness company in the UK, which was great. I ran that for 15 years when I got divorced, and you know, it was a great lifestyle business. And like you, I was able to like be there for my kids. I brought them up alone, and then so basically, this business is the digital version of that, which is how can I kind of put me into a machine like our phone, everything I know, everything I want to say to women about being empowered and you know being the best that they can be, bring all the other experts in the world that I can find who can also do that, and then push them out. So that was yeah, but I was also, I mean, in between I worked at Philips and I was paid so much money to like just go to work every day because I'd been an entrepreneur before and I was like, oh my god, they just pay me all this money. It's like great. And then I left that to actually start this digital company. So that was, yeah, that was painful in the beginning. I'm happy.
Vinita, so we lost out, Google lost out.
I think, and this is like a realization that I had like just a few days ago, is I don't accept things at its face value. So like, when somebody says this is not possible, I will probably walk out and figure out a way of like making it work, right? I guess that is how I am, who I am. And probably when people told me that it's not possible for you to leave Goldman and do like, something of your own, I think I took that on as a challenge and like, said, I'll deal with it, I'll run with it, right? And I think, yeah, that's probably it. And I think that's what I see in my like past as well. Again, like I come from a background where my dad never wanted me to like go out and work, right? So I decided I'm gonna do engineering and I'm gonna work, right? So I went out. My dad never wanted me to marry like my childhood friend, and I said I'm gonna do that. Exactly, yeah. So, like he never wanted me to come to UK. I said I'm gonna do that. I bought my own flight tickets. I applied for visa on my own, and I came here, right? And I think again, like 2011, when I had my son, everybody thought like it's impossible. Why will you do this? Right? And I said, I'm gonna do this. And, this is where I am.
A really inspirational story, thank you.
We have a question over here.
Thanks so much. So, obviously women at the top of your game, especially work and at the top of your careers. What's your North Star now? And obviously you've listed and you've sold your company and you're reaching what's driving you? What's is the next steps? What's the next goal?
Let's start this all of that.
Okay.
Plan. So I think one of the things, well, in my opinion, that is holding back a lot of women on female entrepreneurs at the moment is that there hasn't been like a massive exit, especially in fintech yet. And I'm going to do that. So we're going to have like a massive exit and put it on the map, and it's going to be a thing. And then not only are we as a team going to be inspiration to female founders, but I will then invest and advise. And I'm already on like 3 boards and I love it. And I can see what value I can bring because of the mistakes I've made and because of my experience. And I just want to do more of that. So that's the plan. So if you want to invest, I'm going to talk to you.
Okay, Maxine?
I think the key thing for me is to have fun. I'm definitely looking to grow the business more. There's lots more growth there. We've got the systems and the people and processes, and I just want to really realise that. But it absolutely needs to be fun. And I think after that, which I don't know when that would be, I'd probably either look into investing or some kind of mentoring. I love the fact that we're all here helping each other. So yeah, probably more of that.
Great. I think we have time for.
So I think I always want to be a better version of me, and that just keeps me going. And like I think I as she said, like I'm also having fun with my business. Gives me opportunity to work with a lot of startups, early stage companies, really add value. And we have also started now investing in those companies. So we are like now a Systango lab as well. So it just allows me to do whatever I want to do, and it's like nobody's better at it.
How much time do we have? So I think we can take another couple of questions. And there's one right near you, Daisy. So we'll take that one first.
Good evening. Firstly, can I say without sounding cliche, how inspiring it is to have 3 women who are so unwaveringly positive and passionate about what you do. I haven't heard any of you say I doubted my proposition at any point, so it's been wonderful. I wondered, as you've been through this journey, 2 questions. First one was, you haven't done this alone. So who are and you mentioned a bit, Maxine, the allies, the mentors, the sponsors that you had to get you through those unknowns or those difficult situations? And then part B was, how did you find them?
I'll go first.
Yes, because you asked.
So I've co-founded this company with my husband, right? And so he's like partner in the business. And I was giving this analogy to Audrey earlier. I'm like a floodlight and he's a spotlight, right? And I think it took me a lot of time to realize that, a lot of fights, a lot of whatnot. But I guess like, he has been the one who has been allowing me to do whatever I want to do and whatever risk I want to take and take care of kids when like, I'm traveling. Other than that, I think, again, this is a lesson that I've learned. As an individual, I want to do a lot of things. I want to, like, at one point I was involved in Women Who Code, I was involved in Women Hack for Nonprofits, so, and then like running company and whatnot. And I thought that I am just like self-capable, I can do everything that I want to do. At some point, I think I really stopped and I told myself that I need to take help. And like, I need to seek help. I wanna, like, there are people around me who are wanting to help me, but they can only help me if I wanna take that help. And that's when, like, I started building a circle around me, people I can look up to, talk to, ask for advice, go to them, and just like, on a personal level, on a business level. And I think that has helped me a lot in navigating this journey.
Maxine?
Yeah, I think it's really lonely running a business. If you're a single founder, for sure, probably, if you've got a partner too, but yeah, I did find it really, lonely. And I think I was very fortunate that I had friends that had also had businesses that were looking to scale and start. And these aren't even IT businesses. One of my close friends runs an oak barns company, but they have exactly the same issues. How do they resource? How do they scale? How do they fund? And how do you remain focused? So we used to once a year get together at the end of the year and look at our New Year's resolutions for the next year and review the previous years. And he would hold me to account, even though he knew nothing about tech or IT. So yeah, I would say, yeah, don't let yourself be lonely. Make sure you've got some people around you that help you focus. Stay on it.
And Melinda?
Yeah, same. So I was the first person who actually kind of prompted me to actually start the business. I had this idea and I was at a tech conference and I was on a panel about women's health or something, and he came up to me afterwards and said, look, I think you've got something here, you should do it. And he believed in me, really became the chairman of the board and really mentored me. And I think to find one person like that, and I think just use your network for that, and be open to it. I mean, he was my harshest critic, but actually taught me so much, but also my biggest champion. So that really shaped me as a CEO and a leader. I think, just being aware of and self-aware of how you lead and growth. And I think having a growth mindset is so important. And then I think your tribe, your people around you. I belong to a network called the ICE Network. You can look it up on LinkedIn and Instagram. And we're nearly 500 founders and investors in tech. I'm actually on the board of that. I'm a NED. And that's been transformational. And it's also about having fun with the people that get it. And everybody's on the journey. Some are exited, number of companies under their belt. Some are just starting out on the journey. But at the end of the day, we're all equal because we're all human. And I think just having that sort of growth mindset, being vulnerable, being open, and really kind of just wanting to be there for other people as well. So, there's always good times, there's always bad times. And, you can also give. You don't always just have to take. So I think being open to that has really helped me a lot.
Great. I am going to stop the Q&A now, but our speakers will be here afterwards, so please do ask them your questions. So I'm going to ask the final question, which is, what advice do you have for others who are looking to found their own companies? And Vinita, would you like to start? It doesn't have to be one thing.
I think what has worked for me is just believing in yourself, follow your hunch, do what you want to do. If you love what you're doing and if you're having fun at it, I think we should all just go for it. Don't hold yourself back. That's probably going to be nice. And seek all the help that is around you. Take that help and use it for the best of your capabilities. I think that's what that's
Great. Melinda?
Yeah, I think trust yourself, believe in yourself, and I said this earlier as well, but I think there's also you know, kind of balance that out with looking at the data. So I'm really data driven, and when you know my team comes to me and say, oh, we think we should do this, I'm like, prove it to me. Like, do an A/B test, let me see that it actually works before we're going to do that. So I met a founder the other day, and she kept convincing me that what she was doing is right, and I was asking her questions that she couldn't answer. And you know, that's the thing, is like sometimes you know what you don't know, and even if you're not going to have all the answers, and that's okay. But look at the data, and if people don't get what you're doing, and you can't find product market fit, or people aren't paying for it, you know, you need to switch it up. So don't be afraid to change lanes, and try different things out.
Great. And Maxine.
I think I would just say keep it simple. I see so many people try to do too much and fail. I think if you do something really simple, keep it simple, and be the best at it, then that's much better. So definitely keep it simple. I think the other thing is treat every pound like it's your own, even if you've got investment, because time after time you see people suddenly lose sight of the value of a pound and bootstrapping and you know all those good things that you should be doing. I don't lose sight of whose money is and use it wisely.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all very much, and thank you to Michelmores for hosting us. So if we could have your